I have investigated haunted locations on 4 continents. I have spent nights in places that would make most people run. But Ravenswood Castle, Ravenswood is different. Ravenswood is the only place I have ever investigated where I genuinely did not know at certain moments whether I was going to walk back out. That voice belongs to Dr. James Calloway, paranormal researcher, former forensic psychologist, and one of the most methodical investigators in the field. He recorded those words in 2019 after spending 3 nights inside Ravenswood Castle in North Yorkshire, England. He has not returned since. Tonight, we go inside. Ravenswood Castle sits on a limestone ridge 12 miles northwest of York, England. It was constructed in 1147 by Norman nobleman Sir Edmund Ravenswood, built not as a home, but as a fortification, a statement of power in stone. It has stood for nearly 900 years. In that time, it has served as a military garrison, a private estate, a wartime convalescent hospital during both World Wars, and for a brief period in the 1970s, a boarding school. The castle has 37 rooms across 4 floors, a great hall, a chapel, a dungeon, and 1 room on the 3rd floor at the eastern end of the corridor that every owner since 1743 has kept locked. We will come back to that room. First, the history. The earliest recorded incident at Ravenswood dates to 1312. A monk named Brother Thomas, traveling through Yorkshire and given shelter at the castle for a night, wrote in his travel diary, and this document exists, preserved in the York Cathedral archive, that he heard, quote, the sound of weeping from within the stone walls themselves, as though the castle were in mourning for something it had done. That is 1312, over 700 years ago, and the reports have never stopped. 700 years of continuous, independently documented paranormal activity at a single location, with no gaps in the historical record. In 1586, during the ownership of the Ravenswood family's 3rd generation, 2 servants were found dead in the eastern corridor. No cause of death was ever established. The coroner's report, also preserved in Yorkshire archives, lists the cause as, and I am reading directly here, fright or some agency unknown to medical science. Fright. 2 grown adults, dead of fright. In 1743, the then owner, Sir William Ashworth, ordered the eastern room permanently sealed. No reason was given in any surviving document, but in a private letter to his brother, discovered in a house clearance in 1991, Sir William wrote, "The room will not be entered again while I draw breath, and I strongly advise my heirs to observe the same caution. What resides there is beyond the capacity of human reason to address, and I will waste no more men attempting to address it." What resides there? Not what happened there, not what is wrong there. What resides there? In October 2019, Dr. James Calloway and his 3-person team arrived at Ravenswood Castle with what he described as, and I am quoting his published report here, the most comprehensive suite of paranormal investigation equipment ever deployed at a single UK location. This included 16 fixed infrared cameras covering every major room and corridor, full-spectrum audio recording at a sensitivity capable of capturing sounds below the threshold of human hearing, electromagnetic field detectors, thermal imaging, and a Faraday cage to eliminate interference from external electronic sources. Dr. Calloway's methodology was deliberately skeptical. His background in forensic psychology meant he approached every unexplained event with a checklist of rational explanations first: structural settling, infrasound from the castle's position on the ridge, electromagnetic fields from the limestone geology, psychological priming from historical accounts. He wanted to debunk Ravenswood. He did not debunk Ravenswood. At 11:47 p.m., all 16 cameras simultaneously recorded a drop in ambient temperature of 14 degrees Fahrenheit, localized entirely to the eastern corridor on the 3rd floor. The drop lasted 4 minutes and 17 seconds. Then the temperature returned to baseline as rapidly as it had fallen. Dr. Calloway's report notes, no HVAC explanation is possible. The castle has no central heating system. No window or door in the eastern corridor was open. The localized nature of the temperature event, affecting approximately 30 linear feet of corridor and nothing adjacent, has no structural explanation I am able to offer. A 14-degree temperature drop, localized to 30 feet of corridor, lasting exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds, with no structural or atmospheric explanation. That was night 1.
Night 2 produced the evidence that made Dr. Calloway's report one of the most discussed documents in paranormal research circles. Camera 7, positioned at the far end of the eastern corridor, facing the sealed room, recording the following sequence at 2:23 a.m.
First, a shadow, moving along the corridor wall at floor level in the direction of the sealed room, moving slowly, steadily, with no light source to cast it and no person in the corridor to produce it. The shadow reaches the sealed door. It stops. It appears to pass through the door. The door, which has been sealed since 1743, does not open. The lock, a heavy iron mechanism that the current property management confirmed has not been turned in decades, does not move. The shadow passes through the solid wood and iron of the sealed door and disappears. Dr. Calloway spent 11 hours reviewing this footage before including it in his report. He consulted with 3 independent video forensics experts, all of whom confirmed the footage showed no signs of manipulation, CGI overlay, or post-production alteration. Finding number 3. A shadow figure, moving independently of any light source or human presence, recorded on fixed infrared camera, passing through a solid sealed door. That sound was recorded on the full-spectrum audio equipment at 2:31 a.m., 8 minutes after the shadow figure disappeared through the sealed door. Audio analysts identified it as a sustained frequency of 18.98 Hz. 18.98 Hz is infrasound, below the threshold of human hearing. But here is what makes this significant. Infrasound at this specific frequency has been documented in scientific literature as capable of causing in humans a range of effects including anxiety, unease, the sensation of being watched, and at sustained exposure, visual hallucinations. The castle itself may be generating the conditions for its own haunting. Finding number 4. Sustained infrasound at 18.98 Hz, recorded emanating from the eastern wall, the wall shared with the sealed room, capable of inducing psychological effects consistent with paranormal experiences. On the 3rd night, Dr. Calloway made a decision that he later described as, and I quote, professionally necessary and personally inadvisable. He opened the sealed room. The property management had provided a key, a modern copy of the original iron mechanism, cut by a locksmith in 2018 when the current owners considered converting the space. They had unlocked the door once, looked inside, and relocked it. When asked by Dr. Calloway what they had seen, the property manager, a practical woman named Helen Marsh, who had worked at the castle for 19 years, said simply, "Nothing. There was nothing in there. That was the problem." Dr. Calloway entered the sealed room at 11:15 p.m. on October 16th. He was equipped with a head-mounted camera, an EMF detector, a thermal imager, and a full-spectrum audio recorder. He was inside for 41 minutes. His head-mounted camera recorded 41 minutes of footage. Of that footage, 33 minutes show a normal, empty room. Stone walls, a stone floor, a single window bricked up in the 18th century, a fireplace that has not been used in over 100 years. The remaining 8 minutes, minutes 26 through 34, show nothing. Not darkness, not a malfunction. Nothing. The camera continued operating. The timestamp ran continuously. The audio continued recording. The battery showed no interruption, but the visual feed shows a complete absence of image. Not black. Not static. Nothing.
When Dr. Calloway emerged from the room at 11:56 p.m., his team noted 3 things. First, his head-mounted camera, which had been recording continuously, showed 41 minutes of footage, but he reported subjectively experiencing only about 20 minutes inside the room. 21 minutes are unaccounted for in his subjective experience. Second, the EMF detector, which he had been holding throughout, showed a flat reading, 0 electromagnetic field for the entirety of his time in the room. 0. In a stone castle with centuries of iron fixtures and fittings, with a bricked-up window and a sealed fireplace, the electromagnetic reading was absolute 0. That is not normal. Third, Dr. Calloway, who entered the room wearing a gray sweater and carrying a black equipment bag, exited with the equipment bag in his left hand instead of his right. He is right-handed. He had no memory of switching the bag. Finding number 5. 8 minutes of missing visual data from a continuously operating camera inside the sealed room. 21 minutes of missing subjective time. 0 EMF readings in an environment where 0 is physically impossible. And a detail so small it should mean nothing. And yet, Dr. Calloway's full report on Ravenswood Castle was published in the Journal of Paranormal Research in early 2020. It runs to 67 pages. It includes all camera footage, all audio recordings, all EMF data, and the reports of 3 independent forensic analysts who reviewed the evidence. Their collective conclusion, stated in the report's final paragraph, reads, "The events documented at Ravenswood Castle during the October 2019 investigation represent a body of evidence that cannot be fully accounted for by any known physical, psychological, or technological explanation. We are not in a position to claim the existence of a supernatural agency. We are equally unable to rule one out. The honest position is, we do not know, and in our experience, not knowing is the most frightening conclusion of all." A long pause. Not knowing. 900 years of reports, 2 servants dead of fright in 1586, a sealed room that Sir William Ashford warned his heirs never to enter, a shadow that passes through solid doors, 8 minutes of missing footage, 21 minutes of missing time, and a building that may be generating, from its own geology and architecture, the precise frequency of sound needed to make the human mind see things that are not there, or things that are. Ravenswood Castle is currently listed as a heritage property and is available for private events and overnight stays. I'll let you decide whether that's an invitation or a warning. Dr. James Calloway has not returned to Ravenswood. In a follow-up interview conducted in 2022, he was asked whether he believed the castle was genuinely haunted. He said, "I believe something is happening there that I cannot explain. I believe the evidence supports the conclusion that the location has properties, physical, possibly geological, possibly something else entirely, that affect human consciousness in ways we do not understand. Whether you call that haunted depends on how comfortable you are with the word." He was then asked whether he was afraid of Ravenswood. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I am afraid of the 8 minutes. Whatever happened in that room during those 8 minutes, I was there for it. I have no memory of it. And whatever it was enough to make me switch a bag from my right hand to my left without knowing I had done it. Something in that room made a decision about me, and I was not consulted." Thank you for investigating with us tonight on the haunted territory. If what you just heard got under your skin, good. Pay attention to that feeling. It means something real just reached you. Subscribe to the haunted territory. Hit the bell. Drop a comment. Tell us, would you spend a night in Ravenswood Castle? And if you would, which room would you choose? We will be here, investigating, documenting, looking for answers in the places most people are smart enough to avoid. Until next time, keep the lights on.